A few days ago, I was about to spend a couple of hours rebuilding my lead magnet. I thought it was the reason why conversion is down. And then I checked my dashboard, and the number staring back at me said otherwise. It was my email copy that was the actual leak. So, in the next few minutes, I want to show you how you can use AI to build a similar dashboard. And no, you do not need to code. By the way, if you haven't met yet, my name is Hazel June. And over the years, I've worked with online education businesses, designing online programs, coaching business owners, and helping clients leverage AI. Now, I help solo service providers build AI systems that take admin, repeat tasks, and daily busy work off their plate so they can get their time back without hiring a team. Okay, let me take you back so you have some context. I was actually doing my daily outreach and thought that people weren't converting the way I wanted. And so I made a mental note on allocating time to brainstorm other lead magnets. And that's because I thought my lead magnet was not working. I thought it was the reason why the conversion is low. I assumed that the problem was my lead magnet. And if it was the old me, I would immediately act on impulse. I would start building and spending hours and sometimes days and weeks based on a guess. But luckily, this time I didn't do that. I looked at my dashboard, checked my funnel math, and discovered that the numbers told a completely different story than the one in my head. My top of funnel numbers are actually above average, so they're okay. But my email to landing page click rate was below the benchmark, which means people weren't even getting to the lead magnet section or to the lead magnet page because my email copy wasn't driving them there. I mean, if you think about it, I was about to spend an afternoon renovating a room nobody was actually walking into. Well, thank goodness I learned my lesson and have started tracking my numbers. And more importantly, I'm also using a dashboard that makes it easy for me to spot the broken cell. Okay, I'm not a dashboard pro, but I know that dashboards are meant to help me make decisions. It's why I love dashboards in the first place. It turns these messy numbers or scattered rows and columns of data into a visual format that makes it so damn easy to spot which KPI is underperforming or which part of the funnel is broken. But here's what I've noticed, especially because it's so easy to build dashboards now because of AI, right? A lot of people have created their own dashboards, but most of them created fancy vanity dashboards. They have beautiful graphs and a wall of numbers, but they tell you absolutely nothing about what to do next. And here's the crazy thing. When you look at that dashboard, it gives you the feeling of being data driven. It's like busy work. It gives you the solution that you're making progress because you're doing something. But just because you're in motion doesn't mean you're moving in the right direction. So for me personally, a real dashboard does one job. It helps me make a decision on what direction to go. It helps me quickly spot what's broken in my funnel, shows me the gap between where I'm at and what my goal is, and it shows me if I'm moving in the right direction. So that's what I want to focus on when building a dashboard. All right, the question is, how do you actually build one, right? Now, there's a bunch of different ways that you can do it, but I'm going to focus on 3 different ways that you can build data dashboards using Claude. And they map it to how technical you are. Now, there's no right or wrong lane. So keep that in mind. Okay. So the first option is the no code version using Cowork artifacts. Cowork is one of the interfaces in Claude. So if you have a paid Claude subscription, you will be able to access Cowork when you download the Claude desktop app. Cowork artifact is actually the one that you can do in an afternoon with zero technical skill. So that's what I would recommend if you're not super comfortable with tech. So how do you do that? First, you want to identify the sources for your data, aka where Claude is going to pull your numbers. For example, in my case, I use MailerLite for my emails. So if I want Claude Cowork to pull my email performance numbers, I'd have to connect MailerLite to Claude. So the first thing you got to ask is, what are those tools for you? Once you have a list, you're going to sit down with Cowork and make sure that those platforms are connected in Claude. You're going to do that by going to customize from the sidebar and then connectors. From here, you're going to click the plus sign and then select Browse Connectors. Then you'll be able to see a directory of tools and platforms that you can connect to your Claude account. So all you got to do is choose your connectors, aka your data sources. Now, not all platforms are going to be available in the directory. So if you're using a platform and it's not in a directory, what you can do is connect it via MCP. Once you have all of your data sources connected in Claude, go to artifacts from the sidebar and then select Create Cowork Artifacts. This is the type of artifact that we need in order to build a live data dashboard. From there, Cowork is going to basically walk you through the whole process. And all you have to do is describe the dashboard you want in plain English. Cowork is going to take care of the actual build. So it's going to build you a working visual dashboard that you can actually click around it. And the great news is the data is live. So every time you access it, it gives you fresh real-time data. Now, option 2 is the middle lane, and this is applicable for you if your primary data source is a spreadsheet. So what we're going to do is combine the spreadsheet and the power of a Claude skill in order to build a data dashboard. By the way, if you're not familiar with Claude skills, they're repeatable instructions and processes that Claude will automatically follow when needed. So if your data already lives in Google Sheets, which for most of us, it probably does. What we're going to do is connect that sheet and build a skill, a Claude skill that reads it, analyzes the data, and turn those raw rows of data into a visual dashboard. Now, of course, your dashboard isn't a one-off thing. You're still going to continue updating your spreadsheet. And then when you run the Claude skill, it will automatically give you that visual dashboard based on the updated numbers from your spreadsheet. Now, if you want to take this to the next level, you can actually schedule a task in Cowork so that the skill runs at a certain time automatically. For example, if you update your spreadsheet every Sunday, you can create a scheduled task in Cowork so that it runs the skill on a Monday and creates the dashboard for you. That could be pretty handy, especially if you do like a start of week planning. All that to say, option 2 is the lane for you if you're already using a spreadsheet as your main data source and you don't want to spend time vibe coding a dashboard. Speaking of vibe coding, let's talk about option 3, which is the full build. This is actually what I have. Because I have a couple of different funnels, Google Sheets is where most of my data lives. So that is the source of truth. And that's what actually feeds the live dashboard. And because it automatically syncs, I know that the dashboard reflects fresh data. So every morning, I can check it to review my partner pipeline, check how far I am from my goal, and other useful information. And this is my favorite. It also flags the exact broken cell in my funnel. But again, this is the advanced version. You do not need this type of data dashboard to start. I built this gradually. And honestly, it's still a work in progress because there's still a couple of things that I want to incorporate into this console. My point is, I didn't begin here. But if you want to create something similar, here's how I built it. One, you got to be clear on what you actually want to build. What data do you want to see? Where will you get those data? What are your benchmarks? What are the steps in your funnel? What information is actually useful for you? What numbers do you need to see And do you want analyze for you to make a sound decision? What are the details you need in order to figure out your next steps? Now, there could be more, but it really depends on what you're building the dashboard for. So once you're clear on those things, I recommend that you use Claude Design. That's what I did, and I highly recommend that you do it too. When you use Claude Design as your starting point, it's going to help you map out the wireframe and the overall interface layout. From there, you just have to go back and forth with Claude to finalize the user interface and the overall visual design. Once done, you can automatically hand that off to Claude Code with a click of a button. And that's what I love the most about this whole process because the handoff is so seamless. Claude Code will then take it from there and then start working on the build. As always, you will need to go back and forth with Claude Code so that it's building the dashboard as designed. You'll also have to test different things and QA the data. I mean, you want to know if it's actually pulling the right numbers, if it's actually pulling the data from the right sources. So, in other words, you may need to spend several days or weeks to finally have a working, useful dashboard. Now, as you build your own dashboard, here's what I would love to say: a dashboard isn't done when it looks good. It's done when it can help you make a decision on what to do next. If you build a beautiful, fancy dashboard and you still can't pinpoint which number or metric is actually underperforming or why you're not meeting your goal, you built something cool, but not necessarily useful. All right, folks, go ahead and pick one build format and get your dashboard built. Will you be using Corework artifacts? Are you going to be using a spreadsheet and a dashboard builder skill? Or will you be vibe coding your own dashboard? It really is up to you. But if you need help, I would love to do it for you. Just book a call using the link in the description below and we'll talk. Now, if you want this kind of thing every week, like the video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I talk about building AI systems and running a solo business in this channel. So if that is your jam, I'd love for you to stick around. See you in my next video. Ciao.